It's been over a year since we heard about the upcoming Canon EOS R1, a true flagship camera from Canon. Previous rumors suggested that the R1 would come in the first half of 2023, and unlike Nikon, Canon is releasing new cameras every quarter. Yet, no information on the R1. A few days ago, we got to know that the EOS R5 II will be released before it, so why is this delay and why isn't Canon giving any updates regarding this issue? Let's find out. According to the rumors, Canon EOS R1 is supposed to feature a 100 megapixel sensor, the first for any Canon, and sources suggest that it'll be a full-frame RF mount camera. Earlier, we heard that an 85 megapixel sensor would be introduced, but now Canon is aiming more to compete in the high-end market. It's really interesting that Canon is attempting high sensor in full frame rather than medium format. This R1 will likely replace EOS 5DS and 5DS-R. Fans had somewhat of a bittersweet relationship with the 5D series, so one can only hope that R1 will be something that gets appreciation from all over the world. Canon has not been as competitive as Nikon and Sony in offering high-resolution options in their professional cameras, but they could potentially release a 100 megapixel camera. Currently, their EOS R5 has 45 megapixels while the R3 has 24 megapixels, both lower than the Sony Alpha 1's 50 megapixels. The Nikon Z9 has a similar resolution to the R5 at 45.7 megapixels but offers more advanced features than the EOS R5. To match this flagship competition, Canon is trying to bring out this higher megapixel sensor. We might still have to wait a little while to see the appearance of the R5 Mark II, but thankfully not as long as the agonizing wait for the EOS R1, if these last reports are to be believed. Many photographers would have no reason to shoot at 100 megapixels, as such a high resolution would require a lot of storage and fast computers to process. When the D850 first came to market, while most loved it, many professionals found that it was just too burdensome to manage the files at the outset because of the older computing mechanisms. It's likely that situation will repeat itself if Canon goes with 100 megapixels on a flagship camera, though it certainly will be a capable modern device. Whatever the case, we don't expect to be able to easily get a Canon EOS R1 until late 2023, even if it's announced by the summer of this year. In 2002, the 1Ds were released with an unprecedented number of megapixels and a full-frame sensor, surpassing anything that had been done before with 11.1 MP compared to 6 MP in other cameras. The 1D line remained the leader in the megapixel count until 2012 when Canon merged the 1D and 1DS to create the 1DX and allowed the 5 series to surpass it in pixel count. However, with the release of the Alpha 1 over a year ago and the positive response to the Z9 in the last 18 months, Canon may have had to revise its plans for the flagship R1 camera, and even if it's going to be announced in Q2 of 2023, it would be a full 2 years after Sony Alpha 1 was introduced, which is a flagship product from Sony. So Canon is already behind other competitors. If Canon is unable to release the R1 in 2023, it's probably because they're facing difficulties with the higher resolution stacked sensor. The R3 sensor readout speed was similar to the Alpha 1's despite having half the number of pixels. It's possible that Canon's emphasis on developing and producing sensors in-house is causing a delay, or they may be dealing with patent-related issues. While the prospect of a 100 megapixel sensor is exciting, it's adequate to wait and see before getting too excited. Typically, the flagship product in the lineup does not generate a lot of revenue due to economies of scale, and Canon may be more interested in bringing new, high-volume products to the market. The lower end of the full-frame EOS R system, the R8, has already been released, and there are still gaps in the RF lens lineup that need to be addressed. Although there have been rumors of a successor to the EOS R5, there are none that are highly reliable, but the speculation continues. Last week, we talked about the possibility of the Canon EOS R5 Mark II being announced in Q2, and hopefully, we'll get to see that and the R1 sooner rather than later. So, what do you think about the upcoming Canon EOS R1? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below.